Nice.
It's great to talk to you.
Awesome to talk to you too.
So good to see you, bud.
All right, everybody. I think we will still have some folks joining us shortly, but I wanted to extend a warm welcome to our, actually this is our first ever, I think, AAC at Home session that we're holding during APS's Augmentative and Alternative Communication Week. My name is Kathleen Donovan, and I have the very wonderful privilege and pleasure of working at your Parent Resource Center, and we've been supporting our amazing colleagues and the amazing families that we're working with to help spread awareness and acceptance of the many diverse ways in which our students and other individuals communicate in Arlington. My colleague Gina is going to be joining us shortly. She's in the middle of a graduate program, but she'll pop in and say hello. But just by way of overview of the Parent Resource Center supports, we sit within the Office of Special Education, and we collaborate with and support families, primarily those of students who have disabilities, by providing individual consultations, learning events such as this one. We have an online website. We have lots of online resources and tools. We send a weekly message to all of our families and staff and colleagues. We try our best to support the wonderful work happening in the Office of Special Education. And then finally, we actually have a physical lending library. So if you have any questions about the PRC, I'll put some details in the chat, but please don't hesitate to reach out to us. And we are co-sponsoring this event tonight with several amazing colleagues and parents. So I'd like to ask our assistive technology team to introduce themselves in just a moment. But before that, we're very excited that our Director of Elementary Special Education, Dr. Kelly Krug, has joined us tonight.
Thanks, Kathleen. Good evening, everyone. I couldn't be more excited to be here tonight to celebrate with you all AAC Awareness Week, to honor the amazing work that so many of my amazing colleagues in the Office of Special Ed have worked to create and develop, as well as hear from some of our amazing families on ways that they're supporting their students at home and ideas and share resources and stuff. So I'm just really excited to be here tonight. And I won't take up any more time this evening with my talk, and I will turn it over to our assistive technology team.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Krug, and thank you and thank you to Ms. Rothenbutcher for your wonderful leadership. So how about Marby? Do you want to say a quick hello?
Sure. I'm Marby Tamara. I'm one of the assistive technology specialists, and we are so happy to be gathered here together for this information and for parent-to-parent sharing, which I'm really, really excited about.
All right.
Lauren?
Hi, my name is Lauren Bonnet. I'm one of the assistive technology specialists, and I echo what Marby said. I'm so excited for this session for parent-to-parent learning, and welcome you all to our AAC awareness and acceptance activities. We've just had a tremendous week. The response from all of our events has been terrific, and we can't wait to hear from our parents tonight. So thank you so much for sharing with everyone. And Brittany and Erin, thank you so much for getting us started with our coaching and hearing more about AAC coaching and your role. Sandy, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Sandy Stoppel. I'm the third assistive technology specialist, and I'm so excited. Today we did a snack cart at SciFax, and we hit all the floors and had an amazing response. So excited to see what parents are sharing tonight. So thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. And I think Gina, do you want to give us a quick wave so we can say hi to you?
Hi there, I'm so excited to be here tonight. I had a blast today doing the snack cart today, the AAC snack cart, and seeing our colleagues learn new information and teach each other was a really just special treat today. So thank you for letting me be involved, and I'm excited to learn tonight as well.
So thanks Gina, one of the great things that happened this year is that 2 new positions were added to our team. So it's such a pleasure and a privilege to welcome Erin Tokajer and Brittany Thompson, who I think are both here. And I'll let you ladies take it away.
Hi, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you. I'm going to share my screen because we built in our introductions into our presentation. So give me 1 second. Okay. And I think when I present, let's see. Are you guys able to see this okay?
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
looks great.
When I present, I can't see any of you, so that's fine. But if you have any questions or anything, just chime in. So thank you all for being here. We are going to talk tonight about supporting AAC implementation at home. Kind of a little brief introduction to AAC implementation at home. And we will go over what we're going to go over. So first we'll do introductions, who we are and what we do here at APS. Some communication best practices, so how to support your child using evidence-based practices at home.
We're also going to talk about attributing meaning, which is recognizing and attributing meaning to nonverbal communication, which is one of the strategies to support AAC users. And we'll talk about modeling, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard about before, but we're going to go into that a little bit as well, and how modeling language on your child's method of communication can support them in their communication development.
So who are we? Erin?
My name is Erin Tokajer. I am a speech language pathologist. This is my second year with Arlington. The bulk of my AAC experience was with another district in Virginia, and I'm so excited to be part of Arlington and in this role and supporting the great work that's being done in Arlington with AAC users. I'm also a mom and a wife. The older one isn't mine.
And I am Brittany Thomas. I am a speech and language pathologist as well. I've been with Arlington County for about 5 years now. This is my first year as an AAC implementation coach, and I, in my history with my role within Arlington, I've grown really passionate about supporting staff members who support AAC users. As we know, it's very important for them to get support throughout their day. And I am also a mother. I have a 1-year-old and a husband and a dog, and yeah. So we're going to jump right into some communication best practices. So some of this is probably going to be familiar to some of you, but hopefully it can just reiterate some of the things that you're doing at home, or maybe you'll learn something new that you hadn't thought about or hadn't considered. So augmentative and alternative communication, or AAC, is a variety of things. It's essentially any way that we communicate that isn't verbal language. So it can be signs, gestures, head nods or head shakes. It can be eye gaze, reaching towards things, pushing things away, facial expressions. It can also be vocalizations or verbal approximations, picture symbols, core vocabulary boards, or objects to use. And it can also be speech generating devices such as Lamp Words for Life or Unity software or Speak for Yourself, and a variety of others. Any voice output switches, text to speech, and beyond that. So it really can go from basic gestural things that we can do with our bodies to more high complexity speech generating devices.
And sometimes a combination of all of the above.
Exactly, yes. And just because, like Erin said, just because you use one doesn't mean you can't use 5 of them. You can use many, many forms of AAC. And we accept all forms. So some communication partner strategies that we really focus on and implementing across trainings, across classrooms and teachers in Arlington are these three things here. Access is number one. So if you see the student or the child, you should be able to see their AAC device, whether or not that is a high-tech device or a core board or whatever they're using to communicate. Access is key. If they don't have access to their device, then they don't have access to their robust language system. Wait time is another really important communication partner strategy. In order to learn a motor plan for utilizing a device, it takes time. So our children and our students need time to process and respond, whether they're responding verbally or non-verbally, using a high-tech board or a low-tech board, or maybe using objects or even some sign language. Wait time is necessary so that we're allowing them time to process and respond. Even though sometimes it's hard, you have to sit on your hands and just wait sometimes. Modeling is our third communication partner strategy that we really focus on. And this is when you are communicating with your child and you're using their communication system as well. So you're using their core board and you might be pointing to it, or you're using their communication device, or maybe you have a modeling device or a modeling board at home, and you're just modeling the language as well. And this exposure helps them to then learn the language. We also model without expectation. We want to inspire and not require. So when we're modeling, we're not asking our child to do it as well or to imitate. We're just providing them the language input. This is a great AAC myth that we like to touch on. We often get the question if AAC will prevent a child from using or developing natural speech. And in a review of studies, they found that AAC intervention only had participants increase their speech production actually by 89%, which is phenomenal. 0% decrease their speech production. So as the students are seeing symbol-based language and hearing the language, whether it's voice output or you providing your voice output on a core board or using objects, they're getting the constant language input. And so AAC only helps with speech production, which is awesome.
So talking about attributing meaning as a strategy to support communication, it's something that we do with young children, and it's really helpful for students who are using AAC and emergent communicators. And it starts with the adult observing the behavior. So watching the child's behavior patterns, facial expressions, things that they're doing. And then based on those patterns of behavior and what's observed, you assign meaning to it. So if your child's smiling, you'd say, oh, they must be happy. They look like they're happy. And then you respond and model that language that you're attributing meaning. So, oh, you like that. I think you're happy. And then that teaches the child to learn to control their environment through communication, whether it's nonverbal communication, symbolic communication. They're learning that their behaviors are resulting in events and connecting it to language. And we have a little practice activity that we can pull up, or just some examples. So this little cutie is definitely making some expressions, definitely communicating non-verbally. So some things that you might say to attribute meaning, say, ooh, that's yucky. You look like you're finished. You do not like that. You want something different. So there's a lot that you can attribute to those facial expressions, and you're making connections of how to reject unwanted items by using facial expression and language. This friend is showing some frustration. As parents, we all see points where our kids are frustrated, and that's a great opportunity to model language and communication to communicate when there's something that we don't want. As important as it is to request the things that we want, it's really important to say what we don't want, we don't like. So something like this, you could say, oh, you're frustrated. I think you need help. It's stuck. You want to open it. So there's a lot of language we can model and attribute meaning to the things that our children are doing and the things that are going on around them.
And we find often that behavior is a form of communication. So when you're able to attribute meaning to some of emotions or behaviors, it helps to shape the language around it and give your child language to communicate that potentially next time.
So when we have a communication system in place and we're attributing meaning, the next thing we can do with that language that we're using when we attribute the meaning is model it on the communication system. And as Brittany has mentioned before, that's using the students' mode of communication to communicate with them in context throughout their day. And this statistic has been really powerful in a lot of the trainings that Brittany and I have done. And we thought it was important to share here as well that the average 18-month-old child has been exposed to 4,380 hours of oral language at a rate of 8 hours a day from birth. So children are bombarded with language in the verbal modality for the first 18 months of life. A child who has a communication system and receives speech language therapy 2 times per week for 20 to 30-minute sessions, if they're exposed to the modality of their communication in speech, they would reach the same amount of exposure. It would take 84 years. So it's so important, and Brittany and I stress this all the time, of modeling on the device throughout the entire day and offering exposure and immersion in the modality that our students are using to communicate and learning to use to communicate. So modeling is so crucial for our kids.
And modeling doesn't have to look like you hitting every single icon on a board or a high-tech device or using objects or signing or whatever it is that your child uses. It doesn't mean that you have to say every single word that you're verbally saying, but modeling occasional core words is really, really helpful for our students and your children to see the language. So modeling without expectation is a best practice because it allows your child to see their system being used without expecting them to use it in that moment. And so it takes the pressure of making it takes the pressure off from making it a testing tool. We don't want communication systems to become testing tools because nobody wants to be tested all the time. We really want these to be authentic tools for your children to be able to communicate their wants and needs and share their learned knowledge and see it as a tool and not something that they have to use. So go ahead.
Sorry, we mentioned about how 18 months, in the first 18 months of life, children are exposed to so much language throughout their day, and toddlers are exposed to thousands upon thousands of words a day for the first year before we expect them to say their first word. And then thousands for the next 6 months before we expect them to put 2 words together. So when a student has an AAC system, that modeling without expectation is giving them that period of exposure before we expect them to utter their first word.
Definitely. I have a 13-month-old, and as a speech language pathologist, I'm of course providing a lot of language input for her from day one on, and she mostly only says dada still, and she did just recently sign more for the first time, but it's such a testament to how much we really do need to provide to our kids in order for them to become proficient in it. I'm providing language input for her all day for 13 months, and we're still just using a couple of words. So it's fascinating, but it's also very important for us to continue to do it, even if we're not seeing immediate results from it. I really love this little snippet. The AAC coach is wonderful. She's an SLP, and she puts out a lot of really great resources, and we'll share that at the end too. She does a lot of modeling scripts, things that you could use around your home. But this little video is great because it shows some modeling without expectation in the home setting, and it's just a little cartoon. So I'm going to press play. I don't know if the sound's going to work, and if it doesn't, that's okay, because I think it's really just music. So I'm going to press play.
Good. But what does that look like? It looks like talking about the things you do every day. Hey, you, those are some stinky feet.
Stinky feet. Wash feet.
We've got to wash those feet. Talking about the things you enjoy together. Haha, the show. You can't stop laughing.
I think it's funny.
Noticing what your learner is already communicating and using AAC to talk more about it. Wow, I see you smiling. Maybe you're thinking,
It's fun.
it is fun. Maybe you'd like to do it again.
Let's go.
Talking, even when it doesn't seem like your learner's paying attention. Looks like you're having fun. Those cars are cool.
I like it. Cool.
Talking to the whole family using AAC. Yum, this is so good.
It great. Happy. Like.
Thanks. I'm so happy you like it. Talking with AAC across the whole day. Morning. Good morning. It's time to get up.
Get up.
Noon
I'm hungry.
and night. What a great book.
Read another.
Let's read another one. Modeling without expectation means making AAC another language spoken in your home. One last.
So you see during that video, while the parent is verbalizing sometimes a longer phrase, they might be modeling 2 to 3 words on the device. So it doesn't always have to be the entire sentence that you're saying verbally, but you're hitting some of those core vocabulary words.
And I like that video mentions how they expand on the communication the child's already using. So if a child's asking for something to eat, then you can model, oh, do you like it? Is it good? How does it taste? So you can model some other communicative functions like commenting or asking questions after they make that request.
And when you're modeling, it's very low stress for them. They don't have to do anything. They're just watching and learning. So we aren't prompting them to imitate. We're not saying, eat more, and then you're not handing them their device and saying, now you tell me eat more. We're not testing them when we're modeling. We're providing the language input and not requiring them to do anything at that time. Reading together at home is a great way to target language and to do some modeling in a really natural way if reading is something that your child enjoys. So letting them choose the book is really helpful because then they have some personal investment in the book, and you can focus on core vocabulary words. I listed a couple here. Certainly doesn't have to be these, but like, not, want, help, more, different, make, get, look. All of these are action words or pronouns. They're not nouns, and it's okay to model some nouns, but really these core vocabulary words are really important because they can be used across a variety of context, whereas nouns are more context based. So you can make something to eat, you can make your bed, you can make something go. Those words can be used for a variety of function versus only focusing on the word bed, which is a noun and is important to talk about sometimes. But if we're only focusing on the word bed, it really has that one context of just being a bed.
And while you're reading, part of literacy is the experience with the book and holding the book and turning the pages. So those are some words you can model too. You can model, let's open the book, let's turn the pages, it's finished. Do you want to read more? Like, those are all great core vocabulary words to model around reading in general.
Yep. Do you want help if the child is struggling to turn the page? Do you want something different? Should we get another book? Oh, look at that picture. And we listed here some wordless picture books. Wordless picture books are also wonderful because it allows open-ended communication and language. You can take turns in narrating what they're doing. You can model. You can make up your own story. They can make up their own story. There's a ton of wordless picture books. This is just a few, but we did include a resource at the end too that has quite a bit more wordless picture books.
Some other resources that we can share, and these are all links, so we can share the slides with you, so you can click on these at home and open some of these resources at home. As Brittany mentioned earlier, the AAC coach, that's who made that video, they have a lot on their website. I think Facebook is their primary platform. Brittany, is that right?
She has an Instagram account as well.
Okay.
And this link actually opens up, she has a website. This opens up to a Google Drive where she has tons of modeling scripts for various activities. And I do believe she has them in Spanish and French. And I think there's like 4 or 5 languages that she has them in as well.
Project Core is something that many of you may have participated in or heard of. It is evidence-based communication instruction. They have learning modules. They have resources on there. So that's an excellent site to check out for some more strategies in supporting your AAC users. Practical AAC is a blog, and they release posts daily, and they're great updates with some activities that you can do while using AAC, other strategies, links to other resources that you can look into, like games to play with your child, things like that. So that's another great resource to look at. And then APS resource, we have a link there for a document that was created with some ideas on how to support AAC at home. And Brittany, are you able to open that real quick, and so we could just take a look and see what that looks like?
And I don't know if, Lauren, if you created this, we weren't sure because it didn't say who did. So we just titled it APS, but please feel free to jump in if it was you that created this. But this is a wonderful document. It talks about modeling, aided language stimulation, some short videos, and more posts and things on modeling, reading together, core vocabulary words. It even breaks it down into 10 weeks of things that you could focus on. Again, the wordless picture books that we talked about, various links to ideas of wordless picture books, and recasting is a strategy that we use in modeling as well. We didn't touch a ton on it, but we kind of did. So you're expanding on it. So if the child communicates want, you say you want more milk. What else is in here? Just some more ideas.
Lauren, I wanted to say thanks for uncovering that document. I forgot that we even made that. Oh my goodness. We did. We made that at the beginning of the pandemic, right? That first week that we closed, we were looking for how could we help families. We didn't know. At that time, we thought we were just going to be closed for 2 weeks, right?
I know,
So we
put
just
the date on it. It says
in that
March
document.
19th. It was the first week right after.
Yeah, I noticed, I figured it was you guys that created this, and I was like, wow, what a wonderful resource that I've never seen. I'm going to throw this on this
And this
Yeah,
might be
we need to
something,
respect that.
this might be something that you could share, you know, as families. You can share with other family members and anyone who spends a lot of time with your child. So care providers, grandparents, anybody else who has time spent with your child where they could be using some of these strategies and interact with AAC users in these ways as well.
Okay. Wait, did we go over all? Yes, we did. Sorry. Okay. And so that is the end of our quick little presentation on some, there's obviously so much more to AAC implementation, but you know, for us to make something for 30 minutes and digestible and just like to get us going, what questions might you have for us? I'm going to get out of this so that I can see you guys now, just in case anybody does have questions. Okay. Does anybody have questions, comments, anything you want to share? Okay.
Thank you all for listening and for being here. We're really excited to continue our work in AAC coaching and working with staff. And so thanks for taking the time to be here. Oh, somebody has a question.
I see a hand. I had a feeling this little learner would have a question. You're muted though.
Lovely slideshow.
Thank you, LJ.
Yes, thank you, LJ. I'm sorry, that was not super accessible for you this time. I'm sorry about that. I know, I'm sorry.
Great. Well, LJ, thanks for the great comment. Any other comments or questions before we shift to our parent share fair? Well, we will keep the chat open. Obviously, the chat, we've all made friends with the chat, and that's a great way for us to share information and have questions. So I'm going to, before I share my screen, I wanted to let our 3 parent leaders who are going to be facilitating are going to be sharing during the parent share fair introduce themselves. So I'll just start with the way people I see are on my screen. Brandy, can we ask you to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. It's Brandy Horton. I am the mom to a 5th grader, which is incredible to believe, at Barrett Elementary School. And watching LJ, I think LJ should be running this session. When I first met LJ, he told the best joke on, to a group of folks at baseball, and it was just awesome. So LJ, you're a pro.
All right, and then next we have Cecilia Kline.
Hi, Cecilia Kline, mama to Forte, emerging AC user using eye gaze, which we'll see in a little bit, pre-K at Drew.
And finally, last but not least, Janna Dressel.
Hi everyone, I'm Janna Dressel. I have a 6th grade son who is currently in the virtual learning program. His name is TJ. You'll get introduced to him in a little bit, but we're just super excited to be here. The 3 of us are by no means AAC experts. In fact, you'll get to see pretty quickly how vulnerable we are. And honestly, like just hearing the presentation a few minutes ago, I was like, oh my gosh, I should be doing this. Oh, I forgot about that. And so this was like super helpful. And honestly, getting the slides together for tonight was helpful too. It was just a reminder that there are like so many things that we can be doing and not to be overwhelmed. So I'm just putting that out there. We are figuring this out along with you all. So with that said, I will let you all start.
And we know from decades of research that family engagement really makes a difference. And I can't think of a topic that's more relevant to focus on than communication. We know that communication happens in many environments. It doesn't just happen at school. And that's why we're so glad to get to learn from Brandy and Cecilia and Janna tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, which contains all their amazing work. Bear with me for just a second. Here we go. Okay. And if somebody can let me know if we are seeing the screen. Do we see the parent share fair?
Yes.
Fantastic. All right, wish us luck. Here we go. Hitting present. Come on. All right. Okay. So again, thank you to the three presenters. I wanted for you to actually get to see them, which is why we didn't put this slide up with them, but we've gotten the chance to meet Brandy, Cecilia, and Janna. And I think we are kicking off tonight with Brandy. So Brandy, I'll just wait here and you let me know when you're ready for me to advance.
That sounds good. And just to build on what Janna said about us not all being experts, when I first was asked to be a part of this, I was like, really, are you sure you want me? And I think we lost the slides. I see a beautiful island that maybe I'd like to go to after this is over. But in talking about just kind of what would be helpful for parents to hear and, how we've kind of gathered skills over the course of what is now, Wayne started using AAC in pre-K. And I thought I would kind of go backwards to talk about where we started, which was with a 2-button choice device, speech generating device. And it was a red and a green, and we would assign different terms to those buttons depending on what we were practicing, kind of reinforcing school and learning at school. We had picture symbols. We tried PECs for a while. That didn't really work so well. It was a lot for Wayne to manage, but then we introduced other like choice boards and things of that nature. And then we very quickly in elementary school got into a speech output device, and we didn't begin with LAMP, but we moved into LAMP. I want to say it was like 2nd grade-ish, and really getting into the concept of core vocabulary and the principles of Project Core. And we've come a long way since then, but I'll say that, we have 3 kids. Wayne is the oldest. He has 2 younger brothers. So our life is constantly chaotic. And I feel like, we get the devices at home and we're so not experts. We have no idea what we're doing 99.9% of the time in parenting or using speech generating devices. And it was all really overwhelming. And as Wayne got bigger, he got, frustrated a lot, and that communication being associated with behavior is completely true because he knew what he wanted to tell us, and we didn't have a good way of communicating back and forth. And we had some really, bad habits forming around a lot of kind of physical aggression and just responding to that and answering to that because we knew what he wanted. So we wanted to be able to kind of solve the problem for him. And I think really ultimately we were really frustrated that we didn't have the skills and we didn't really understand what it means to be a communication partner. And even that concept, we've been going to private speech therapy. We've had great services and supports through APS through this whole time frame, but knowing that we are partners in this and that we have a role to play wasn't something, it almost had to be explicitly told to us. And this is an awful, like from a timeline perspective, I feel like I didn't really learn that and internalize that until we participated in the Project Core parent training that happened during COVID in the evenings through PRC. It was an excellent session. It was over the course of several weeks, and just really learning that like modeling doesn't have to be perfect, and honoring spontaneous communication, and you're not setting up a full therapy session every time you're trying to have a conversation. It was really freeing for us to try new and different things. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about just kind of how we build AAC into our really chaotic and underskilled daily lives. And one of the things is this concept of turning everyday moments into opportunities. And Wayne, after many years of doing this, he's really making great progress. He is doing kind of spontaneous 2, sometimes 3-word utterances at school. At home, we still get a lot of manding. We get a lot of very specific kind of labeling of things that he wants. And so when we see some engagement that is driven by Wayne, it's like, we kind of stop what we're doing and let's get into that. And these are just a couple of pictures. The funniest one is, it says here, "Ben, work, am, goodbye." And that was during virtual speech therapy, which was not a favorite in our house. And Wayne, like about 3.5 minutes into the sessions, would just get on his device and say, basically say, "I've been working, I'm done, goodbye." And then the rest of the session, he would just be like, "Goodbye, I'm out. See you later." And I think we all shared that sentiment a little bit during the early days of COVID, and really, you know, up until now. So he did, it was really great spontaneous communication from Wayne telling us what he wanted. And so we would talk about, like, what are the steps that we're going to do to get to really saying goodbye. And, you know, if he didn't want to finish the fun activity at the end and he was done, it was like, we all respected that, and we'll be done today. So that was, you know, that was just really great to see as a parent. And it did help with the frustration to be able to honor that and have that conversation. The other one is a little bit harder to see, but also during COVID, where, you know, Wayne's classmates and his teachers are all programmed into his device, and basically all of the important, you know, people in our community are in there. And he was telling us about his friends, and he missed his friends because, you know, he wasn't able to see them directly at school. And so that was a great opportunity to sit and just have a quick conversation about, you know, who is he missing and what do they do together? And so you see in there Miss H and some of his classmates that he's talking about there. So really taking the opportunity to embrace proactive communication. And the next section, that if we can go to the next slide, is about kind of leaning on, and I like that this was in the modeling demonstration, about kind of leaning on fun and leaning on, it's not always only communicating about what you like, but where there are things we know are a good time at home. You know, we like to talk about, you know, music and movies and whatever, and these are preferred activities, but also everyone can have a lot of fun. So I think you're going to see a little guy in there with no pants on, which is a good illustration of the chaos, but just wanted to show some casual conversation and action. So I think we can play the first one on the left.
What do you want, Wayne? Oh, thank you. Butterfly music, thank you. Okay, let's listen to a song. Alexa, play a butterfly song. What's it gonna be? Butterfly. Is this what you wanted? Yes or no? Wayne, put that down, please. Rex, put that down, please. Wayne.
No!
Wayne, is this what you like? Yes or no? Yes? Okay. Okay. Oh, that's okay.
And so that one, you can see that I didn't know what the butterfly song was. And he very clearly said he wanted butterfly music. And so we asked Alexa what to play, and he was thrilled with it. And then we just have one more quick one.
Shark. Shark what? Please. Do you want music? Music. Okay. Alexa, play Baby Shark. Wait.
So just a couple of examples, you know, one of Wayne's goals is around building 2- and 3-word utterances. So you see me prompting there and just repeating. I saw a question pop up about how do you reinforce what's happening in the school. For us, you know, we're constantly learning from Wayne's teachers and his aides and his speech team. And so, you know, prompting him to tell us, you know, more about, like, okay, shark, but are we watching? Are we listening? And what are we doing? The other thing in the second video, and why I wanted to show that, was the use of sign in addition to the device, because Wayne has a total communication approach. He learned and still is learning a lot of sign language. His signs are more approximations, which in terms of communication can be hard because not everyone understands. You know, cat is this, Wayne does this for cat. So a lot of times people think Wayne's talking about a girl. He is just talking about a cat. But there, you know, getting music out wasn't necessarily happening on the device. I knew that's what he wanted, but we were able to sign that together. So kind of trying to provide all the communication opportunities to avoid frustration. And then I just have one more quick slide. And this is, again, just another thing that we had learned about before about integrating low tech and high tech options. And I couldn't really figure out how to do it. And when we were preparing the room and our house for COVID learning and virtual learning, and we were doing the Project Core training with the PRC, everyone shared that there was the opportunity to have maybe a kind of large scale, just like what you might find in the classroom, version of the main kind of entry point for the core words in LAMP. And this is modeled on LAMP because that's what Wayne uses. And we got that home and we put it on the wall. And I will tell you, he uses it all the time, especially in moments of frustration when kind of getting through to the device and making all of those steps is maybe more than he can emotionally handle at the moment. He'll go over there, and that especially happens with TV because he wants TV all the time. And so and we say no TV, he'll go over and he'll just point, watch, you know. And so then we have a conversation about it's not TV time and all of those things. But to build that in and to reinforce the low tech and the high tech options has been really helpful just to create a lot of communications opportunities for Wayne. And I think just a final thought is that, you know, this is a learning journey. We really, I think, thought, you know, I'm a pretty type A person. I just was like, this is going to be easy. We're just going to jump right on into this. And, you know, I think it took us a lot of time and a lot of humility to really become communication partners with Wayne, to try things that work in the house and that don't work in the house, to build the team. We call everyone who works with Wayne Team Wayne, and we have private speech and OT, and we have in-school services, and we have therapists who come to the house, and we all have to be on the same page all of the time. And our job as parents a lot of the time is being that coordinator and making sure everyone's using the same phrases. We're all practicing the same kind of things at the same time, just to really support Wayne in building those skills. So it is a learning journey. It's a lifelong journey, like so much of what we do. But it's been really incredible to see the progress, even in just using the kind of core principles, the core vocabulary principles over time, and how far we've come. We can play music on Alexa. It's pretty great.
Great. Thanks so much, Brandy. Okay, next up we have Cecilia.
Thank you. So I'll carry on the theme of so what I was looking for in the presentation. This is when we first got together to organize this presentation. I thought, you know, these are the areas that we're working that have been most successful with Forte, and I put, you know, all my bullet points, and then spent the next 2 weeks trying to get a video of Forte doing any of these things, which never happened. So I was looking for one of those memes, like how we started and where we ended. It was completely different. But these are the areas, so I'll start just talking about some strategies that do work for us, and then I'll show you completely different videos and examples of what Forte felt like doing the past 2 weeks. Like I mentioned, Forte, he's 4, he's in pre-K. We're a little over a year into this high-tech AAC journey. Similar to what Brandy described, we started with just the switches, the buttons, and a lot of visuals. We were using, like you'll see examples later, now it's lovely and coffee stained. We're using like a lot of the visual schedules, which was really helpful. A lot of the first and thens really helped behaviorally. That was a huge breakthrough. And we started with first, before we identified exactly what system Forte would be using, we started with partner-assisted scanning with these kind of boards, because we tried a lot of different systems. He has been making progress now with fine motor skills, but originally had more challenges with that. And so we ended up selecting the best fit for him was an eye gaze system. So he uses Unidad, which is a little different system than LAMP, and his access method is through eye gaze. And so the device recognizes where his eyes are looking. He selects with his eyes, so it's a touchless access method. So the times that we've been incorporating it most successfully at home have been definitely mealtime. That's where it took off, and the motivation factor was highest to start requesting. Also, I totally echo Brandy, all of the things in the initial presentation. We definitely started with fringe words and just, what he wanted to eat and all the foods, and his tomato or apple juice, and we've been working there to bring in the core words from there, and also just the requests of more and stop. He's gotten really into the expressions of yummy or yucky and excuse me and thank you. He gets a kick out of just doing those spontaneous expressions. And like I mentioned, the first then, even when we used it low tech, was super helpful behaviorally, and it's even solved like some feeding issues that we were having. If he didn't want to eat something, then doing modeling the first fish, then raspberries, and got him to eat all kind of food that way. So it's definitely, as Brandy mentioned, like helped in terms of behavior strategies and even feeding strategies for us. The other area, which the coaches mentioned, is reading books, which Forte adores. And there we've been able to work in a lot more core vocabulary. And also, you'll see there also singing songs and getting him engaged in the reading himself, and complimenting. Those are his latest favorite books and songs, and he'll say the colors of the animals, and add in, he loves saying jelly, so I sing the peanut butter, and he says the jelly, and so those kind of, just silly things. The song of the day, definitely music, like Brandy said, has been great to incorporate and just make it more fun than how we had started out. I think it was a lot of the, say this, say that, and it just, he wants to say what he wants to say, and he wants to have fun saying it, and who wouldn't? So this has been a much smoother road to follow, basically his road. We're just going down his path, which has worked much better. And I think we have a couple examples just to show. Oh no, did it not update?
Let's see if we can
refresh it.
You know what? I'm going to pause. I'm going to stop sharing for a sec. We will get it. I think I might have pulled up the wrong one. Here we go.
So in
if anybody has questions, or
one thing that that he's really gotten into, especially in the COVID virtual world, and being distanced from people, he's started requesting more people. I saw there was a question about how to program people in there, and Brandy shared the example there, and that has been amazing, being able to put in. And I'm happy there's some videos. Lauren gave a link to some videos for how to add a button I definitely had to learn, and there's some specific videos to show how to take the picture and input the picture, and then it's just like programming any other word. But that's been really fun because now Forte requests, and one of the examples that you'll see, he requests when he wants to speak to another family member. He also lets us know when he's done talking with us. He doesn't want to talk with me anymore. He wants to talk to someone else. And tells us about his teachers and his classmates. So that's been a fun sort of next stop that we've had on the journey to personalizing it and making it more beyond just the core words and typical friend words and whatever he's learning in school, but really making it personal, including family and friends, and all of his therapists, his team at school. So one of the examples, I just had some screenshots of things that he said. There was one where he let me know that he was done talking with me, like, no parent, not you. Tia Christina, please, want to see Tia Christina. He wanted to talk to my sister. And so I knew he was done with me. And we gave my sister a call. So that's been neat, just to have him and, share that with my family members, and they get excited, and to know, I think before, when I would tell them, no, Forte wants to see you, Forte has asked for you, they didn't really understand, like, truly, that he was. And so being able to share those messages with them, they've been really excited of seeing that connection. So here, so this will show, we were going to show all our core words and modeling and everything, and you won't see any of that. You'll just see what Forte felt like doing for lunch in this minute. Can anybody hear? I can't hear it.
No, I think we need the volume.
Oh, Kathleen, can you unmute yourself? Maybe then the sound will play.
Okay, sorry everybody. Let's just go back a little bit here.
Tomorrow is Monday. He's really into the calendar. That's what they're doing. He loves calendar and circle time. Do you want to start with the lentils or the avocado? What do you want to eat first?
Today is.
What day is today? Today is Sunday.
Sunday.
Very good. Today is Sunday. Tomorrow is Monday.
June.
The month is August. I mean, October. You said August. Are you ready to eat?
You know, today is August, Sunday, Wednesday, June.
What do you want to eat first? Lentils or avocado?
Peach.
You want a peach? It's the middle of fall. There aren't any good peaches.
Q.
Do you want to practice your alphabet?
S.
So there you go. That was our wonderful modeling of how he requests his lunch. Like, none of that happened. He wanted to do calendar time, which is what he loves doing in school, and tell me what day it was and what month it was, and tell me that he wanted peaches, which obviously we had no peaches. None of that was on the menu. So that's how our conversations go. You can just show the next slide and the screenshots. That's what he was saying when he was asking for my sister. He asked the first time how I was, and please, parent, we were on good terms then. I called my sister the first time and she didn't pick up. said, we'll try again later. And then he said, Papa, Mama, not. He was done with us. He wants Tia Christina. So that's how he let us know that. And then the next slide was, I think, just showing appropriate, age appropriate. This is what yesterday was on his device when he came home from school, talking about, wanted to see my sister and talking about farts, which is probably one of the most requested. I guess that's his core vocabulary. Lots of farts and poop. So that's what we talk about a lot. And the last little clip was shared with by his teacher yesterday. We just got his device mounted on his power wheelchair, and I don't know what he was telling his friends, but he had a following as he talked to them, just showing how it's incorporated there. He's using it during recess and incorporating it during the school day. So we can't hear what he's saying, but I think it must have been super interesting to have this following of half the class. But that's been another exciting step in the journey for him to be able to incorporate it, not only in the classroom, not only in speech therapy, but every day and on the playground. And then the last, what we're broaching into now is we're bilingual in my family, and we've started practicing now in Spanish, which was the reason we wanted to use Unidad. So he's started practicing speaking in Spanish as we switch back and forth all the time in our house. So that's another exciting next step on our journey to venture into that. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Cecilia. So we're going to go now. So I'm going to just try to get this back to our full screen. And I think next up we have, oops. Let's see that one more time just because it's so cute. There we go. All righty. So next we have Janna Dressel.
All right. This is so awesome. I love hearing everybody's. I wish we could do this more often. So I guess we want to just skip to the first slide. This is kind of just what I was going to be going over, but just kind of go to the next one. My son's 12 now, and as you can see just from even these pictures, he has lots of ways that he likes to communicate. He primarily right now is wanting to try to attempt verbal speech first. And so we're honoring that, but when he's frustrated or we're not sure what he's trying to say, he will oftentimes use his speech generating device next, or a low-tech communication board. So I don't know if you can see in the picture, but we have some letter stencils, some letter boards. Even in that top picture, you can see he was really interested in learning chess for a while. So we've got a board where he can pick which piece to move, and then on the other board behind it has like the coordinate grid, so he could say something like bishop to A2 or whatever. And so that was really cool because we were able to like learn to do chess that way. Down below again, you'll see just the low-tech version of the lamp that he's using now on his speech generating device, and also an emoji choice board, which is really kind of fun too, because he can let us know how he's feeling at any given moment, especially when he's feeling silly. As you can see, Cecilia, there is a poop emoji up there. So he is right there with Forte. But yeah, I think for me, for a while, I was trying to sort of make it my agenda, like which communication device I thought or mode of communication. And it really has, like we've learned over time, that it needs to be his choice. And honestly, offering access to those things kind of at all times. And I will say first that I'm, even as I'm saying all this, guilty of not always having like multiple choices for his mode of communication. So we're trying to work on a system for carrying around some of these great modes of communication for him. I actually just ordered a strap for his talker because he's really wanting to bring it out in the community now more. But it's one of those that he can take it on, unclip it so that he doesn't always have to have a strap on it if he wants. But yeah, I need to figure out a way to like also have some of these other boards handy too. We have some stuck in our pockets of our car and different places throughout the house. So it's usually in the room, but I want to make sure that it's like he can see all things that he might want to use. So we're working on that. Let's see here. Yeah, I think for him, I've noticed too that sometimes his preferences for how he wants to communicate really vary based on like over time. He actually used to be on Speak for Yourself on his speech generating device, and then some peers in his class a couple years ago were using LAMP, and the teacher noticed that he was curious about that, and so they actually let him have access to both. And it turned out, even though he'd been working for years on Speak for Yourself, the LAMP actually started to come to him a little more quickly, and we were seeing gains there. So it's just been really kind of neat to watch that come sort of over time. And then certain communication partners, depending on who he's with, he might be apt to use one over the other. So I want to go to the next slide. So TJ was just like the Forte and Wayne, food, music, those were the like high preference items for him. And so like our ABA therapists would always tease that he was like the master of demanding, because he could put together like an 8-word sentence, perfect grammatically, if it was something that he was highly motivated by. Like he'd have the speaker's name and then what can I please have and whatever it is. So that was awesome. We got to a point where we were very proficient with meal times and asking for favorite things. So then it was like, okay, now what? How do we sort of expand on this? So we've been working on labeling things, something as simple as I see, and we're out on a walk. We got these cute like scavenger hunt cards from the dollar store. And so we would bring those out and talk about what we see. Same kind of thing with books and book walks. This picture actually is from that cute Halloween book, Room on the Broom. And I just recently got this from his current speech therapist over at Williamsburg. We've been doing virtual speech with them over there, and it's super cute. And we practiced it with her a bunch, and now we actually have the book at our house and already had it. So we've been practicing, some of those core words and phrases and answering questions, asking questions with books like that. So that's been cool. One of the things that we used a lot last year before the pandemic hit was we had, we wanted him to work on asking us questions, but it was just a lot. We weren't sure how to scaffold it for him. So we had some cards, just like index cards on a ring with the visual cues for certain questions so that he could flip to a question and say, how was your weekend? Or how are you feeling? Or, what is your favorite, whatever. So that's been helpful to have some type of visual for him. You'll see in a minute, he is so lucky to have a brother and they're so lucky for each other. Honestly, I think his brother Christopher is maybe the best modeler in our house. The silver lining with COVID for us, frankly, was that we all dove in a little deeper with our AAC. Life was busy, we were overscheduled, and we were not using it as much as we could as, in modeling. So we actually put LAMP on one of our personal iPads, and his brother really picked it up quick, and they, would play games together and still do, but when they were both out of school and we were kind of all home, that really took off then. So they'll play games like Uno or Guess Who. We took the poster that you all were talking about with the core words, and we have one poster up in our house, but then we have another one where we cut them into cards that are about this big so that he can learn all of the core words. And so we'll play different games with them. Like one of them is just spreading them out face down on the carpet, and then we have a fly swatter and they smack it and flip it over, and then whoever can find it fastest is the idea. But it's just if you hit the fly swatter, it's your turn and you can build that word and then the next person can go. Sometimes we do it where we try to make like a funny saying that makes no sense. And so that's fun too. But something where you've got a little bit of action with it. They really like the fly swatter. Let's see what else. So, and then the other thing that we were really working on right before COVID hit was, in his IEP goal, frankly, for a few years now, we've had this like concept of circles of communication. So it's great that he can ask for things. It's great that he can answer yes, no, and some, sort of basic questions, but how do we like get to a point where it's more of a conversation? So one thing I started making, I want to flip to the next slide, were these conversation starters. And I made the template and then it was super easy every week to just change out the pictures from the weekend. So, on Monday morning, all the kids are talking about their weekend, like, what'd you do? What'd you do? So this was great because DJ would have it in like one of those little like plastic sleeves handy. And then he'd have his device and he could, he had the visual cues up top to figure out, how to ask his friends how their weekend was. But then, when friends or teachers asked him, he could point to things from the weekend. And then I always tried to like give a little more information at the bottom about the weekend than what I knew he could probably put in his device, but that way they'd have some context or could ask follow-up questions. And so the bolded words at the bottom were words that, he might be able to find on his own or with some support. So it was like built-in scaffolding. I'm not there in the building, but like it became just part of his Monday morning process. I think he would use the starter every Monday with his teachers, with his speech therapist, because he had speech on Mondays. And then later I would take it to private speech later in the week. And so he got practice with the same, sort of sheet every week. And then we change it up again. And now it's kind of funny because they were all in these sleeves. I hole punched them and it's like a photo album for him and he loves it. He actually likes flipping through this more than like our, more fancy photo albums. So they're all jagged and worn but he loves flipping through and doing that. So sometimes we'll go back and be like, do you remember this? And we'll try to find some of the phrases. So that's been pretty cool. You want to go to the next slide. This is Christopher and TJ. We were out on like a walk the other day. And so, you can see they're engaging together on their talkers. And I think the video, we can try doing that first and then see.
Let's throw these rocks in together. Let's throw these rocks in together.
Whoa! Where did they go? Good job. The rocks went in. Can you throw another one, DJ? Throw a rock in. Nice. So where did it go? It went? Yeah, you like using Chris's? That's okay too. Let's throw two more in. You threw it in the water. TJ, where did it go? Yes, it went in. Can you find in? Awesome. You guys are doing great. Finding the rocks and throwing them in the water.
As you can tell, Christopher was a little more into activity than TJ, but yeah, it's something that's just that simple. I think for a while I've been, trying to have us work on longer phrases, and sometimes it's as simple as just like a one-word phrase. But I was struck by the presentation earlier from the coaches, and I think I just did it there. So don't use my model as the model, but to not to model without expectation, because I think I said, like, can you find in? So that's something that I'll work on is, how to prompt him without, expecting him to do it. I don't know if you guys have any tips on that, but, I get in that habit of can you find, and that's not really obviously the best way to do that. So you want to go to the next slide. So these are just some pictures from like using our AAC out in the community. The ones on the left are actually pretty recent from a couple weeks ago. TJ loves Chipotle, and he, has his favorite things that he likes to put in his rice bowl. So he's been going in and even during COVID, ordering his own food and just feels really proud about it. We actually kind of made it part of our Wednesday night routine. So Christopher's at his football practice, and while he's there, we go to this one particular Chipotle that's near the football field. And now they recognize him and they know, they say, "Oh, I remember you." And, even if it's loud in there, they'll stop whatever they're doing and, he'll hit it a few times. And if they still can't hear, then he's learning how to turn it so they can read it. So that's been really cool. And one hack for that is, especially with lines and people behind you, I have him create what he's going to say in the car before we get in so that he's not feeling stressed about having to, input it. But the very first time we did it, I had like my phone open and I was showing him the different ingredients, but I sort of knew what he would want. And so he was able to put his order in ahead of time and then walk in with it. So that's been helpful. The third one over is actually from one of the SEPTA Sensory Santa events. And so there you can see he's actually using a letter board like this to spell what he wanted for Christmas. And so that particular Christmas, he wanted science books. So that was really cool to use out in the community there. And then on the far right, you'll see we did like another little Halloween scavenger hunt where we went around our neighborhood. And this was great because we kind of kept repeating the phrase "I see," so he got a lot of practice with that. And then we would help him find whatever the fringe words were. So I think in this picture, TJ is saying "I see a witch" and Christopher is saying "I see a black cat." So just easy stuff, but kind of fun to take out in the community. And then, as I mentioned, TJ is still virtual. For us right now and for his health needs and learning needs, we have actually found that it really has been helpful for him. So like in the picture on the left, you'll see he's on like a little bike and listening to his lesson. You'll see in the background, he's got his big laminated cord board back there. There's pictures of some of his other low-tech boards. And then the middle picture is he was doing a math problem. And so, again, the teacher, his virtual assistant, I believe, was on the other side of that computer. And so he was, solving the problem on his calculator. And then, I'm over there handwriting it so he can also see it. And then he's putting his answer in his talker so that he can share it verbally. So lots of steps, but he's using it for math, and that's been going really well. And then this video, I believe, is they do a lot of Flipgrid videos for last year especially, but they've been doing them this year too, where they give the kids a topic and they have to, share a little video about it, which can be a little challenging when you're an AAC user. And so one of the things that I think was a little frustrating when TJ decided to go from Speak for Yourself to LAMP was that Speak for Yourself used to have this awesome little area that was like, hold that thought. So you could write out a big phrase, you could save it for later, and then you can still hit it sort of in live time. And so that's not as easy, at least I haven't found a way yet in LAMP to do it that way. So we sometimes create temporary buttons. So we have an area on his talker that, whatever the content is that he's working on, planets and space or, the colonies and history or whatever it is, he can create some like phrases, and then when he goes to share, it's ready to go. So this video shows, I think it was for music class last year. Their assignment was to talk about like themselves and their relationship with music. And there were a lot of questions that they had to, answer. And so he had created, I think 6 or 7 temporary buttons or full sentences and then put them together. So you can see that it's going to sound like a lot. That probably took 3 or 4 days of, working on it. So just keep that in mind. But okay.
Hi, this is TJ. My happy song is Happy by Pharrell Williams. My dance song is Stop the Feeling Control. My snack song is Sound of Silence by Simon Garfunkel. Music makes me feel energized. Whitney Slade's Kickbox, yeah.
And he's moving and grooving as he goes. But yeah, that was an example from last year's virtual learning. And now he's, that's really kind of been fun to watch, that he loves Flipgrids. Not only does he love watching his own over and over after he's made it, but he really likes to watch his classmates. And you can tell, like, if there's certain friends that he's really interested in, he will want to watch their video more frequently. And so that's been kind of cool to like see what his interests are. This next video is my last video, and I think we're gonna have to have me share my screen. Is that right, Kathleen?
I don't know that I have another video, Janna, in the slideshow.
Yeah,
So
I think it's on TJ. I'm on TJ's device, so I think if I screen share, we can share it, hopefully.
Yeah, I think that this is Marby. I think that's right on, Janna. We couldn't get that one. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. We'll try it. If it doesn't work, no problem. But the neat thing about this one is TJ created lots of little mini videos for his PE project that he had to do. And they were supposed to share 3 ways they can strengthen their muscles. And so he, picked the 3 activities he was going to share, where we were going to do it. We went out in the community at the park and then in his room. But then he also helped edit and decide which parts should go first, second, and third. So that was new for him and kind of cool. So hopefully this works. Okay. Let's see. And hopefully you can hear it. If not, let me know. Oh, audio. We need that. Okay. Can everybody see that? Can you all see that?
Yep, looks good.
Okay. Hopefully you can hear it.
I can do the monkey bars to straighten my arms.
Nice work.
I can climb the rock wall to strengthen my muscles.
Okay, go climb it. Climb the rock wall.
Nice work, TJ.
All the way at the top. Well done, buddy.
I can do wall push-ups.
1, good. Another. 2, and 1 more. All right, I will stop sharing. So yeah, that just kind of shows that he's learning. I'm learning together with him, and that was just really fun because I felt like he was one of the editors and directors of his own little movie. So I think that'll be something that we continue to do even more when we're doing our virtual learning for our class and everything. Hopefully, am I back in? There we go. So I think that's everything that I was going to share.
all right, Janna, thank you so much. And I know, I hope a lot of our staff members will get to watch this as well as other parents, because I think we all have so much to learn from all of you. And I know that parents learn a lot from one another. So I was very excited that Cecilia has offered to kind of start and moderate an AAC parent group. Cecilia, I just put this up so everybody can jot down the email address here. I guess you can email to that address to join. Do you want to tell us more, Cecilia?
Sure. This is literally just being born as we speak. So we have an email address that, you can, if you're interested, if you have questions, I've seen a bunch of questions on the chat. If you have questions for Brandy or Janna or I can get those to them. And any other questions, we can get those to the people on here from Aztec who have answers, or for in our case with eye gaze. I believe Forte is the only eye gaze user in the county. So there are some other resources. I think every family comes up with their own resources and resource people that we can tap into. Like Brandy said in the beginning, LJ and Jen have been sort of Forte and my coaches in starting out on this journey. So I've just been so grateful for sort of this community and the support. And I know I can always use people to bounce ideas off of, and Chipotle and how was your weekend, and the Alexa. I'd forgotten, because you can program the device to say Alexa or Google and request it, and I have to program that back in since we got a new device. So it's just these type of opportunities. We would love to just replicate and have, if it's once a month, if people are interested, just shoot an email to the APS AAC parents at gmail.com. Those are some ideas of what we can do, whatever people are interested in doing, if it's troubleshooting, if it's just support, if it's idea sharing or resource sharing, or getting together for meetups and having, I know I've heard previously that there were lunch bunches among students, at least when hopefully it's safe to get together again, or in outdoor settings, if it's possible to get our AAC users together. So it's really open to whatever people are interested in, and that's a start. If you're interested in any of the above or have ideas of your own, shoot an email to that Gmail, and we can get a listserv going and meet up again and just talk and share and whatever people are interested in.
All right. Well, I'm sure you will all join me in a huge round of applause for our parents. And we stand with you. So because I was trying to screen share, and thanks for your patience with that, if there are questions in the chat, maybe I'll go ahead and stop the recording now, and we can always we have a transcript running, so we can get any questions to the group. But I will turn the recording off. Thank you all again. And